debating.
People are calling for me to debate Brendan Schaub on American Sniper. That's a good show, though. Fuck.
You and him debating about American Sniper?
Yeah.
You debating anybody. I need to get permission from you to release that video of you disparaging our heroes.
I didn't know I got permission. I have no secrets. There's no permissions for me.
I seem to remember that being a very controversial statement.
Oh, really?
On your behalf, and I'm not sure you want that out in the public. No. You said it sucked. You said it was a shitty fucking movie.
That's the thing. Anybody wants me to debate, it's like, I'm going to debate the acting. I'm not going to debate Chris Kyle in any way. I'm going to debate the acting and the storytelling in that movie.
Hey, bro, you got to fucking, the guy's a hero, bro.
Yeah, but so what? That fucking scene where he met his wife was garbage.
Bro. Respect. Okay, it's about Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, you should give respect and shoot that scene more than once, fucking Eastwood, you old man. Why don't you and fucking... What's his name? Howard Stern go suck each other off in your old man camp.
Oh my goodness!
Fucking get your wrinkled cocks in each other's mouths and go fucking support shitty comedy again. You guys are garbage.
How dare you?
They've lost it. Unforgiven was amazing. Let's not take that away from him.
How old was he when he made Unforgiven?
That was 15, 20 years ago. It was great, and it was a culmination of all the stuff he had done to that point. He made a real Western.
You're upset with Howard Stern because he said that shit about podcasting.
That's the new thing I'm upset with Howard Stern over. It just shows how much he's lost touch. Like, that's not the way you become a radio DJ. Stern, no one wants to become a radio DJ who's doing podcasts. That's not our end goal.
He might be doing that, though. He's a very clever guy. He might be doing that just to get people to talk shit.
I guess so. He said this for losers. So that means anyone who listens to a podcast and listens to Howard Stern, just so you know, Howard Stern called you a loser for listening to podcasts as well. You got to know how to take it to an act break. What? No, you don't. You can just not go to an act break. What the fuck are you talking about? Take it back to the 30s.
I think he was trying to fuck with people.
Yeah.
I really do.
No, I think he doesn't like that. Where are you going to make your pennies? And he goes, Corolla shouldn't be in podcasts. He should be doing radio. It's like, oh, you just don't even know what it is. You're commenting on shit. You don't even know what it is.
I don't know, man. I hear that from a guy like that. He's too clever.
He was too clever.
I think he's probably, I don't know. I think he's probably fucking with people.
Dude,
at the same time,
does Dancing with the Stars.
People.
What, is that a prank?
I don't think it's Dancing with the Stars. America's Got Talent.
Whatever. Some garbage show.
He likes it. He likes giving people when he talks about it, it genuinely seems like he's enjoying it. Giving people the opportunity. Like some of those people that come out of that show are actually really talented.
It's cool jugglers and stuff.
I don't know. I've never watched it.
What do you do in that show for?
Well, Tom Cotter, stand-up comic. He's the guy that I came up with in Boston, like way back in the day.
Hold on a second. And you should know, but I don't know Tom Cotter at all. But there's no way you're going to defend that show by saying Tom fucking Cotter. He's been fucking shitty since '84.
How dare
There's no way you're going to say that as an example of something good coming out of that show. The fucking cool dancers. Yeah, I'll give you that. That's cool. How do you do that
with
your body?
I like Tom Cotter. I can't say any bad word.
No, you can't because you know him and like him, but I can because I've never met him.
He's a beautiful human being.
Even when I was a little kid watching Live from the Laugh Factory from Saturday night, I was like, who's this fucking cheeseball host?
How dare you?
Get to the amazing Jonathan.
How dare you? Ari Shaffir, you give him a TV show, the motherfucker goes on a rampage. Balls out. It's attacking Howard Stern, attacking Tom Cotter.
When's the last time he broke a real musician anymore?
I don't think he ever did that.
He did.
Did he really?
Yeah. Bands like Soul Coughing, I remember discovering them through Howard Stern. Like, oh, this is a good band. You're right, Stern. He was listening to rock music, but now he's fucking 104. And 104-year-olds don't have their finger on the pulse.
I don't think he's that old.
That's why the guy from Saturday Night Live, he just like, well, hire young black people. Just hire somebody that is young.
Well, I think, honestly, this is my take on it. I want to be completely objective.
Yeah.
I think what he's doing is what he enjoys.
Yeah,
this is who he is now. This is who he is now. We can't want a guy to be who we thought he was or who he used to be.
Dude, there's nothing. Comedians, athletes, musicians, no one keeps up at the high level they perform at all the time. They fade.
But this is where I think you're wrong because Stern has really good interviews. They're really good.
Still, new ones?
Very good.
Okay.
Well, he just did one with Kid Rock. He's very good.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the very best ever at
interviewing.
At like getting.
And it was a new one that was good interview. All right. Well, then he's a good interviewer.
Dude,
still.
He's still very good, man. He might have some ideas that I don't agree with, like the podcasters are losers, but he's still like that guy is like. If you go back and look at all the radio influences. Like, that guy's the #1 radio guy of all time.
He used to like Sam Kinison. He used to like Sam Kinison. It was like, this guy's legit funny. And now he likes fucking one-liner comics.
Well,
safe one-liner comics.
I don't know. I bet he still likes really funny comics too. I don't buy it, man. I mean, I don't talk to the dude on a regular basis. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Didn't get the Black Keys. I was like, nah, I don't get it. Why do they want to have him on?
Really?
Irrelevant, man. They had to force them into playing his birthday party because he was like, he wouldn't play them.
Are you sure about that?
That's who played his birthday party, right?
Yeah, but you sure that he didn't want them there?
Yeah, he just wouldn't have them. Really? No, I'm not sure about anything, but that's what I heard.
Oh, I heard shit.
Yeah, that's what I hear from people who listen to him.
I don't know, man. If it wasn't for him, it wasn't for all the shit that he went through with the FCC and all the shit that he went through for censorship.
And then he tries to say that O&A went too far, having a homeless guy on. And it's like, dude, fuck you. You're a relevant piece of shit.
Well, you know, I think
on the side of freedom only when it's your freedom of speech.
I think
no one else's.
They're just his enemy, and that was his idea. Was that his enemies he would go after with all of his weapons.
His weapon is mortgaging his fucking art and what he believes in. That people should be allowed to say whatever they want.
That is what's all about, right? I mean, it's got to kind of be that, and it's got to kind of stand up for itself.
You got to say, like, fuck those guys, but of course they should be able to say what they want. But please, everyone, do not listen to them because they suck. That's what you should say.
Or just...
You shouldn't say that went too far. You can't say certain things. Like, come on, man. You went too far 100 times, and it was great. And now the line was moved.
Do you think that's because, like, in those days when they had time slots, that the time slot was the king? And maybe that's why we're not like that at all? Because, like, if you think about it, all of our
morning
friends...
drive time was huge to get that. All of our friends what?
All of our friends have podcasts, and we're always on all of our friends' podcasts. I've been on yours, you've been on Diaz's, I've been on Diaz's. We're all, like, on each other's podcasts all the time.
Just at Duncan's last week.
Yeah, and it's never, like, it's not a competitive thing at all. Like, it doesn't even come into play. It's like, hey, we all have successful podcasts.
Yeah.
This is fun. And we just keep doing podcasts. And no one's worried that somehow or another, if they download the Skeptic Tank, that they're not going to download Duncan Trussell's Family Hour.
Tons of hours.
Yeah,
people catch up with all the old ones, and they move on to the next podcast.
Exactly. And there's enough people. There's a lot of people. And the key isn't controlling the people that are there. The key is promoting as much good shit as possible so that more people show up. And then everybody is happy.
Right.
Like this idea that you have to be, but when there was one morning show, you know, one guy got the morning shift.
And you have rankings.
Yeah.
We're the #1 in our market.
They got all the money.
Yeah.
Of course, the smart guy's going to want to get all the money.
We're moved from 4th to 2nd, so we're doing better. And it's like rankings. Those iTunes rankings that came out when people started doing podcasts, everyone was interested at first, and then it became like, oh, what? Who cares? I have this many downloads. I want to get more.
Yeah.
I want to get more people to listen. It's
he
like,
was
that's
in a
it.
different world. Like that's a different world of competition.
It's a different world.
We're
and you can't accept this new world. People don't care.
It's definitely a new world. There's a lot of people listening to podcasts, and especially when you have something
that's going to happen to us too. We're going to become irrelevant.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think you'll be relevant with people that are interested in what you have to say.
Right, maybe.
That's what it is. You change. You change.
Maybe it's just for comedians where it's like, when you're 60 and you're relevant to 60-year-olds, 60-year-olds don't go out to comedy clubs.
Okay, but
you're still relevant, just you have no audience. Okay.
Here's the argument against that is Dom Irrera. Dom Irrera is not just relevant, he's as funny as ever.
Yeah, that's
Dom
true.
Irrera murders
That's a good point.
I saw him the other night. We did Kill Tony together, like one the other night, a few months ago. And he was sharp as I've ever seen him.
Really?
Just crushing off the top of his head. Hilarious. Vicious, hilarious, self-deprecating. It was just monstrous.
Wow.
Just smashed it.
Oh, I'm back. I got tape from Joe Rogan's podcast. He had a comedian on there who was bashing me the other night.
Oh.
I'll play that for you later. A guy I never heard of who basically is angry with me because I said that podcasts are bullshit. And he, of course, misses the point. He's a 41-year-old comedian I've never heard of, nor has anyone else. And he's dicking around with some podcast, and he's hurt that I said that podcasts are no good. Podcasts are fine. You want to make a podcast, sit in your room and make a podcast. You want to make money and become a broadcaster and actually get a following. You've got to put yourself to the test. If you want to be a comedian, you could sit in your room and do your comedy into a microphone, or you could go to a club.
Yeah, you could be the greatest comedian ever, only nobody would know it.
Right. You got to go to a club, and I'm telling you, if you want to become a radio broadcaster and make a living at this and get a following, you've got to go on terrestrial radio, not even satellite. You got to go on terrestrial radio and wait for the ratings book to come out, and you'll find out if you're any good. And this guy was peeing and crying and pissing and moaning because he's 41 and he never had a fucking career. And he's, you know, and Joe is nice. He was like, you know, saying, hey, Howard's a great broadcaster. Why don't you listen to what he's saying? Or something like that, to that effect. But JD was playing me the tape. He's going to pull the tape for later. I almost hesitate to play it because
you're going to make him known.
I'll make the guy known. It'll be
and
the first
his podcast will get some traction.
And then he went through the traditional Howard's old, and he, you know, well, good, I'm old. Guess what? I've learned a few things in my life. If I had to make a career today and I made a podcast, nobody would know who I was. And that ain't being old. That's just the truth. You got to go to a market like Hartford, Connecticut, and beg someone to put you on the air, because don't think that's easy either. You got to go through 1 million auditions. But Riley has a podcast, and everybody's and his mother has a podcast, and none of them know how to broadcast. I don't mean to single out Riley. I actually like his show, but I'm just saying. The only way you will... that's like a stand-up comedian sitting in his room the rest of his life doing stand-up comedy. How come he doesn't do that? He would tell a young kid, what would you tell a young kid who wanted to be in comedy? Would you tell him to sit and do a fucking podcast, or would you tell him to go to a comedy club? You tell him to go to a goddamn comedy club, because then a live audience will sit there and they will be your harshest critic. And if you can make them laugh, you're a comedian. And if you can't, you're shit. You're nothing. And if you sit in your room and do a podcast, you're pretending to be a broadcaster. Take the podcast and throw it out the window. The guy's crying, Howard is old. He doesn't know the business. He's just old. Yeah, I'm old. So what? You're going to be old, too. In fact, you're 41 and no one's heard of you.
That's not that young.
When I was 41, I was super fucking famous. I was already I'd written books and made a movie of my life. I mean, you're 41 and you're on Joe's podcast and no one knows who you are and no one's going to hear you. This guy, it's like a street performer giving advice to Paul McCartney. Guy's a fucking moron. And you know what? Guys who are unsuccessful hate to hear the truth. They hate to hear it. You mean we actually have to work? I mean, can't we just go in our room and be our own boss and make a podcast?
Well, that's like all those people who used to be on cable access.
Yeah.
They thought they were on
TV.
television.
They would pay a company to put my TV. Hey, look, I'm on TV. No, you're not on TV. I mean, yeah, you're on TV, but nobody gives a shit about you. Howard's old. He doesn't understand podcasting. No, I understand it perfectly. It's fun. You want a podcast? Great. So you have some audio on your website that nobody goes to. I should invite the guy on and just fucking yell at him. Yeah, I guess you would tell the young comics to sit at home and do stand-up in their house.
Well, how could we tell he's a comedian?
But I never heard of the guy. What's the guy's name? We'll give him a plug. Ari?
Ari Shaffir.
Ari Shaffir. Have you heard of him?
No, Shaffir.
Shaffir. Have you heard of Ari Shaffir?
No.
All right, he's on with Joe Rogan acting like he's some sort of elder statesman of comedy. Fucking moron. And he's like, Howard's old. Yeah, guess what? So are you. You're 41 and you haven't no one knows your name and you've been at it. You give it up. I guess he does stand-up on a podcast and then he doesn't have to go to the clubs because that's the way to make a living in stand-up.
But the question is, why does he care about your opinion?
Because...
if everything's working for him in podcasting...
Yeah. And then he went on to say that AGT is a bullshit show. Dude, what show are you on besides your podcast? Let me see you go on AGT and win. Because maybe you need some fucking notoriety, dude. You're 41, no one knows you. Your career's a bomb. Douchebag. Anyway, when we get that tape, I'll play it. You should hear him. He's going off like you would think he was, you know, like Jerry Seinfeld or Chris Rock. I mean, you would think like he knew something. He hasn't figured it out. He goes, and by the way, everyone who has a podcast, Howard Stern's calling you a loser. Yeah, I stand by that. It's exactly what I'm doing. You know, I mean, if you want to have a podcast, you want to have fun, okay. But if you want to make money, you know, Rush Limbaugh's not doing a podcast. Rush Limbaugh, whatever you think of him, went on the radio. He put himself on a station, and he waited for the ratings to come in. And it's the scariest thing you'll ever go through as a radio broadcaster. And the guy goes, Howard Stern says I have to learn to talk up a record. No, you don't have to learn to do anything, you douche, because you're not in radio. You've never made a dime in it. You know, you haven't experienced having massive amounts of people listening to you. That's radio. That's how I got to go to satellite and get paid, because I brought a massive audience over with me from commercial radio. That's how it works. That's not being old. That's how it still works. Oh, okay. Here's a clip of the guy. You want to hear him?
All right.
Such a stupid argument. Don't you think I've learned something? JD1. Orange. First column. Not there, JD.
82.
Ah. Okay. Here, I'll play some of it for you. Let's see if I get this to work.
You're upset with Howard Stern because he said that shit about podcasting.
That's the new thing I'm upset with Howard Stern over. It just shows how much he's lost touch. Like, that's not the way you become a radio DJ. Stern, no one wants to become a radio DJ who's doing podcasts. That's not our end goal.
Is that what I said? If you're doing a podcast, you're doing it for yourself, for talking to the wall, and to reach your 3 fans. Listen to this guy. He's an expert.
Might be doing that, though. He's a very clever guy. He might be doing that just to get people to talk shit.
I guess so. He said this for losers. So that means anyone who listens to a podcast and listens to Howard Stern, just so you know, Howard Stern called you a loser for listening to podcasts.
Is that what I did? Did I say the people who listen to podcasts are losers? I said you're a loser. You would probably reach more listeners yelling out the window than in your stupid podcast, genius.
Oh, my goodness.
As well. You got to know how to take it to an act break. What? No, you don't. You can just not go to an act.
No, you never said that.
What's an act break? Fuck him, guy. I don't even know what he's talking about. You got to know how to bring it to an act break. By the way, how does he know what I'm saying if I'm such a loser?
Break? What the fuck are you talking about? Take it back to the 30s.
I think he was trying to fuck with people.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to fuck with you. I'm dead serious. You don't know how to broadcast. Let me see this guy get a radio show on real radio.
Well, first of all,
and get an audience.
You were talking to Eliza about her podcast.
Yep.
And
it's a waste of time.
She's trying to jumpstart at some kind of career.
Right. It's not the way to do it. Well, the only way you have a career in radio, and by career I mean make money. You want to just do it for shits and giggles, go ahead.
Somehow this guy personalized, and now you're talking about him.
Now I'm talking, but you know what it is? Look, guy's a 41-year-old stand-up comedian. Well, I've never heard of until now.
He's got a thin skin about his podcast.
About his podcast. Dude, podcast all you want. You want to know something? There's only been a handful of guys who've gotten on the radio and gotten the size audience that I have. That, to me, is it. I'm old-fashioned. I actually like a lot of people listening, like millions. What a dummy. Yeah, that's old-fashioned of me. I guess, yeah, making money is old-fashioned. And by the way, don't go to any clubs and do stand-up, too, by the way. According to this guy, you could just sit in your room and broadcast into your tape recorder. Excuse me, your digital recorder.
Really do.
No, I think he doesn't like that. Where are you going to make your pennies? And he goes, Corolla shouldn't be in podcasts.
He shouldn't. Adam doesn't want to be doing that. Adam wanted to be on terrestrial radio. He's doing it because that's what he... And by the way, Adam had some people who followed him over.
Right.
Because he was on regular radio.
You're doing radio. It's like, oh, you just don't even know what it is. You're commenting on shit. You don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
No, man.
I'm an
hear
idiot.
That from a guy like that. He's too clever.
He was too clever.
I think he's probably fucking with people.
Dude,
at the same time,
does Dancing with the Stars. What is that, a prank?
I don't think it's Dancing with the Stars. America's Got Talent.
Whatever. Some garbage show.
Yeah, garbage show. Yeah, it's real garbage. What show are you on? I've never heard of you. What's Ari's show?
He should go and audition for America's Got Talent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think he could win. I'd love to see his stand-up. Let me see him do 90 seconds on America's Got Talent. Let's see if he places in the top 5. Dude, relax. Do all the podcasts. In fact, I hope everyone does podcasts because that'll just leave me as the world's greatest broadcaster. I'm still waiting to see a guy, a team, a morning show Get the kind of numbers I used to rack up on terrestrial radio. And then once you do that, you're a proven commodity. You should see the people that offer you money once you can do that. That's the skill, not a podcast. Benji's girlfriend just started a podcast. She's in the same bed you're in.
Oh, and she's already made money.
And there you go.
Benji!
I'm not talking to you right now. We'll get to you. We'll get all about your girlfriend. She's all excited. I gave her a day on the air, and she probably got some people.
2 days.
Yeah.
She's already made money.
Of course.
I had 3
Good, Benji. Way to make dough. If she made dough, it's off my audience. And if Ari makes any dough, it'll be from me talking about it. And Ari, I wish you, listen, I have no animosity toward you. I wish you all the luck with your podcast. You're so hip and young. You're a 41-year-old stand-up comic, and you're lighting the world on fire. Go for it, pal. And you're absolutely right. I'm out of it. I don't know anything about broadcasting. I had this stupid idea to go on the radio and have millions of people listen to me. And I've had a 40-something year career, and people are still listening to me. And in fact, it's crazy. I'm so irrelevant, millions of people are still listening to me. But you're lighting the world on fire at 41. At 41, let's see, I was syndicated across the country, and I was the most successful broadcaster in the world. And at 41, you're yelling about me on Joe Rogan's podcast. And no one knows your name, and no one sees you do stand-up, except for a handful of fucking maniacs who somehow, I guess, who even knows if you open? And your advice is right. I would assume, because you know something about stand-up comedy, that your advice is for people to stay home and not go to clubs when they want to learn how to do stand-up. Because why go in front of an audience and bare your soul and find out if you're any good? Because that's what a podcast is. You can sit in your room and pretend you're on the radio. Pretend you're broadcasting. But Ari, here's what I would do if I was you. Skip the podcast. Knock on the door of a radio station. And since you're so scary talented, skip all the little markets. Go right to the majors. Go to New York City. Go knock on the program director's door and have them put you on the air. And then we'll wait a couple of months. We'll give you 2 or 3 ratings books, and we'll see how you do. And my guess is you'll bomb. You will bomb. And then you go back to doing a podcast. And then bitch about how regular radio is old and irrelevant. Stupid ass. You dummy. See, you sound ignorant. Oh, what's that? Madonna just canceled? She wants to do your podcast. Oh, okay. Yeah, because she wants to reach 5 people. That's the other phenomenon now. Everyone goes on each other's podcasts.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yeah.
And they team up with each other, too. They'll do podcasts together.
If that was my career, Ari, I would end it. I would go into, like, selling shoes. You know. I would do something else if I was 41 and no one knew my name in stand-up. I really would. I would give it up. And I certainly, if I was doing a podcast, I would give it up. It's not worth it. But okay, you're getting off on it. You're having fun with it. Have fun. But I'm talking about building a career and getting a following.
Ari confuses, the fact that he does a podcast as one thing that he does to promote his career, as somebody trying to make a career in podcasting.
Well, this is exciting. I just got an email. On the next podcast, Ari is going to give Letterman career advice because he's old too, and he's going to tell him why being on TV is irrelevant.
He should go into podcasting.
Yeah. Letterman wasted his time all those years with that show.
Yeah.
He should have been a podcaster.
He's retired, he should go into podcasting.
It's so old-fashioned, making money for your job. I'm talking about making a living. I'm talking about being able to live your life and do the thing you love.
Not have to live off Benji.
Right. Here's your $2,000 for the month.
Benji!
Oh, my God. It's just crazy. Hey, by the way, Sal, I'll change the subject. I hope everyone... Steve, I hope I haven't bored you to death with my anger. I'm just trying to help people.
He's a giver.
Yeah, I'm a giver. I'm a giver of advice.
You're a giver.
Yeah, ask Madonna if she sat in her room and podcasted, or did she go to clubs and work out her act. Wait till you hear what her life was like. This girl used to sleep on people's couches and then go to clubs at night and just beg up the DJ to play her record.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
That's the way it fucking works. You can't sit in your room in a podcast.
Right, trust me, because I could do it, and I suck. Like right now, I'm miserable right now. And I can just go and start a podcast in my room.
Yeah, you'd be
miserable.
the same as Ari. and if you want to do stand-up comedy, just sit in your room and do it. Ari says you don't have to leave the room. You don't even have to go to a club. Because that's old-fashioned. Only old people go to clubs and fucking try stand-up comedy.
Now, when you go to a club, you have to get the feel of the audience, how your jokes work. You know, you're going to be on TV eventually.
The only way you're going to find out if you're a good stand-up comic is to stand in front of people. And the only way you're going to find out if you can really do radio, make a living at it, is to go in front of people who actually have a radio and see if you can beat the other guys in the ratings.
Maybe you could do like De Niro, the King of Comedy, where he did his show in the basement.
Well, that's what Ari's doing. Ari doesn't realize that's what he's doing. Good old Ari.
His mother's
come in here, Ari. I'll invite you in. Let me argue to my face, fuckface.
He would absolutely win. Come on, Howard.
You can't argue with that kind of logic. Yeah, Howard's old-fashioned. He just broadcasts to millions of people. What a douche.
I think it's also he's trying to get his name out there.
Well,
and
maybe.
Bringing Europe in an argument like that shows.
Well, Joe at least kind of looked at him like he was bizarre. Joe was like, "Are you for real?"
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure that. Because Joe's kind of a good comedian.
Joe's a real good comedian.
Yeah, and he's got a good career.
Yeah, but Joe has a career. Guess what? Joe's been on TV. That old-fashioned medium. That's how people know him. And stand-up.
Right.
And he put out records. And he goes on tour in front of people.
They keep bringing up articles about your name and linking it to doing a podcast or a new internet platform.
Yeah, but if I did a podcast, it would be different. I have a following from terrestrial radio.
Right.
I have millions of people who would follow me.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to sit and advise people to do podcasting, there's no... As we know it right now, there's no way to congregate a mass audience around that unless you have an audience from... Okay, Steve, I got to go. Okay. Bye. This is ridiculous. Oh, this just in. Ari's doing a special on CB Radio, for those of you who still have that. He's going to... That's it. Yes, Conrad.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, hi. It's Howard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't even know I was online. Hey, Howard, I was just talking shit about that Ari guy, man. He was talking shit about Adam Carolla, but Adam Carolla was on K-Rock in Los Angeles for many years.
Adam was on a ton of radio stations after we left, and he got a following.
Exactly, and this guy's talking shit about all that.
That's how Adam followed the exact...
model that you're talking about.
I'm talking about. He was on regular radio. He was tested. He had to go in front of an audience.
Ari guy's a piece of shit.
Well, I won't go that far. I don't even know him. He's just, you know what? Look, I feel bad for him. I'd be frustrated too if I was 41 years old and I'm fucking doing a goddamn, no one knows my name and I'm at this thing. Probably he's been at it since college, which is like 20 years old. 20 years at a business where nobody knows your name is kind of. He reminds me of like the death of a salesman or something.
Oh, my God.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know a ton of guys like that in radio. They gave it their best try. It sucks. It sucks when no one knows who you are. And you've been working at it. Ask Madonna how many people she saw in music coming up, and they're gone now. There's only a handful of people who make it. Only a handful. And trust me, those who have made it understand how you do it. I actually enjoy some podcasts because they're so small. In other words, if I want to hear a chess player talk about chess,
right?
The seven of us who are going to listen to that, or if I want to hear someone talk about the technique in watercolor painting, it works for that. But if you want to make a living as a broadcaster, it's just not going to happen for you.
Or even as a painter, you're not going to make your living podcasting about it.
No, but it's a wonderful thing for those who want to learn, because 7 people can listen to it. But anyway, believe me, I only feel sorry for the guy. And you know what? I hope I helped him. I got his name out there. Maybe he'll get some bookings. Maybe if there's a corporation listening, they'll hire him for a gig. Maybe he's a funny guy. Probably not, but...
No, he's done some other things.
What did he do?
He's put out a couple of movies.
Where? On the internet?
And he's been on Comedy Central, and then he does a lot of podcasts.
Oh. Well, there you go. It's lighting the world on fire. Way to go.
I think he does stand-up.
All right. Well, all right. Hopefully, go ahead. Go see him. But I think he would tell you.
He's confused as to what you were saying.
Yeah. Now you know. Now you can listen back to this, and you can go. In fact, go on Joe's show again, because Joe, I guarantee, has more listeners than you do.